As the bosun pipes these young Americans aboard this sailing ship, it's almost as if he's piping them back to the War of 1812. That's because the ship is the Baltimore clipper Lynx, and it's all about that war against Great Britain and young America's first defense of freedom.
Once you step aboard Lynx, you step back in time, and you share in the duties, and you raise the sails, and you learn what life was like for a sailor.
It was during the War of 1812 that the British were seizing American ships and crews because of what the British concluded was their former colony's support of France and Napoleon. Americans were building private sailing ships in Baltimore Harbor to raid British merchantmen. On the outer edge of Baltimore Harbor, Fort McHenry protected the shipyard where Americans were building their privateers, a prime target for British warships. A young American lawyer, Francis Scott Key, was there as the British ships sought to blast the fort into submission. It was the defense of the fort that inspired Key to write the poem that became our national anthem. So the stage was set for privateers to become the first line of defense in America's first defense of freedom.
These ships were very successful in capturing upwards to 1,300 British ships. So they're very successful in not only being profitable for their crews and their investors, but also disrupting British commerce so much that it inevitably caused England to recognize us as a powerful nation, an independent nation.
One of those privateers was the Baltimore clipper Lynx that fell victim to a British raiding party just after a short time in service. It was seized, put into British service, but eventually vanished from the seas. Today, the Lynx has been reborn.
Lynx takes the dream of one man and turns it into the dream of many.
I name this ship Lynx. God bless her and all who sail in her.
Lynx was soon bound for her home port of Portsmouth, New Hampshire, for her first teaching duties. From there it was to Baltimore Harbor, where the crew honored all veterans in a special Veterans Day ceremony of commemoration. From the Chesapeake, the Lynx set sail for 3 months of educational voyages in the British Virgin Islands, and then on to bring history alive along the West Coast.
Well, the reason we're here in Newport Harbor is the fact that we've joined forces with the Defense of Freedom Foundation to expand the educational programs offered at the Scout Sea Base located. And we're working with schools in Southern California area. We've developed a program for the 5th and 8th graders, and possibly will expand into the high school years. We're also working with high schoolers with the service learning program. We're trying to take them back and show them what it was like back in the 1800s for what our defense system was like back then as well, but also to kind of feel what it was like for a sailor in that time. And so they're put through stations on board Lynx that will show them and let them learn it firsthand what it was like, life of a sailor, to navigating, to steering the ship, to provisioning a ship, whatever it might be.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. That's excellent. My name is Steve Wojciechowicz. I'm the engineer and gunner on board the schooner Lynx, the ship on which you will be sailing today. Make no mistake, you guys are going to be the sailors of the ship. You're not passengers and you're not observers. You'll be doing everything from setting the sails to helping us with the guns.
And down to the sea to the ship they go, prepared to hear tales of history and heroism.
Ready on your throat halyards! Ready on the throat halyards! Come on, you sullies! Are you ready on your throat halyards? Ready on the throat halyards! Hi! Are you ready on your peak halyards? Ready on the peak halyards! Which never
When they first step in to engage in it in their watch systems and raise those sails, they're not sure what to expect, but once the commands are given and they start to raise those sails, there they go, hand over hand, and they see that what they're raising is a pretty immense project ahead of them. And working together with the rest of their classmates, they're successful.
Now, all the lines on Lynx essentially lead one direction, up into the masts. That's where the professional crew spends much of its time, 94 feet into the air. That's where the dynamics of wind come to fore against the harness of the sails, where physics combine to drive the ship, where the result of the hard work below pays off, often in more ways than the young crew can imagine.
It's this sail training. It's this belief that people can be put aboard a tall ship where they have lots of responsibility. Teamwork is a must, and they join in, and it's a very successful training program.
On a boat like this, you can't carry a big, heavy 6-pound gun. So they make these lighter guns, called carronades.
As with setting the sails, taking gun stations is part of the drill.
Are you ready?
Yes!
Are you ready?
Yes!
All right, gun captain, tell your crew, hands to run out the gun.
Hands to round the gun!
Repeat it.
Hands to run out the gun!
So
Run it out they did, and ready it for firing, but only as a matter of practice. Of course, the crew does the firing.
The kids are not quite sure what to expect, and they step on board. The crew is there to help loosen things up and make everybody feel comfortable. And of course, kids are, again, just kind of wanting to see what it's all about. And before you know it, once they're engaged in what we're going to show them for the day, then they just all come together. And as quiet as it might be when you step aboard the ship, by the time the ship is back at dock, these kids don't want to get off.
I really enjoyed the fact that the students were interacting with one another, learning the history and experiencing it as they're learning it. I enjoy the fact that they are working in teams, they are learning from people who obviously love what they're doing, and they are totally involved, 100% involved. They'll remember it forever, rather than reading in a textbook and going in one ear out the other ear and forgetting about it. This is a memory that's going to last.
Cool like you've never told before. All right.
It was really fun, and I was excited to really be working on a ship.
They made sure that we had freedom because they were brave enough to be sailors and just go on ships and help their families.
Now we shall see what you remember.
We have 3 stations aboard which talks about various elements in the ship and the history. And then at the end of that period of time, they receive a little document which gives them a quiz about what sail is where and what mast is where and what happens, where the guns are, that sort of thing. And they fill that out, and that makes an impression upon them. They take that with them. And on the back is a letter of marque, which is filled out by the captain for them. Well, the dreams are just to teach this American history against this background of sail training.
3 cheers for the captain and crew and to your school. Hip, hip!